to see if they advance on or not.
All right, so let's get introductions underway. In the bottom left, we have from Team Slayers, one of the Protoss legacies in Korea, currently on the rise. His name is Slayers Alicia.
And showing some foreign dominance with, his first 2 games, not so much the last 2. But if you want to see him take this best of 7 series, give a cheer for Liquid Red.
Man, they are still so loud. My voice went out and I casted like 3 series today. Man, I can't believe how these guys are screaming so loud. You guys are awesome. And that means they think they're awesome too. Now this is Dual Site, a map that's traditionally hard to fast expand because it reminds us of so much of Zelnaga Caverns where there's 2 entrances. Actually, there's multiple entrances, and it's just so wide open, kind of also similar to Metalopolis. But yet Alicia still signifying he wants to go for that fast expand. When some other Protoss, like even Hero and MC who played earlier today, they like going for like a gateway expand on this map traditionally. So what do you think about this choice from Alicia to just stay Forge fast expand?
I think it's fine, honestly. You're going up against Liquid Red. Don't worry about it. I mean, honestly, are you really expecting some sort of roach pressure? It would be crazy. Don't get me wrong. Red actually pushing out some roaches, but, putting this pylon down actually gives him a lot of signification that it won't be some sort of roach pressure because putting your hatchery all the way out here, I mean, technically you can do roach pressure from this hatchery, but normally if that fails, it's really hard to actually come back from anything.
Yeah, and you can see that Rhett was really just trying to get that 3rd hatchery up anyways, but of course he will sneak past that drone, and Alicia really just focused on getting up his expansion as well. 6 Zerglings on the way for Rhett, and he's just pretty much going to resume normally from there. Now, Dual Site, what makes it really good for a style like Red, again, is just because there's so much counterattack spots. There's lots of paths to your opponent. And what makes it interesting is there's also different expansion paths. Some people choose to expand closer to their main and try to see if they can draw aggression away from different places. Some people choose to go more in a linear expansion path, Andre. And we have a lot of diversity in that area.
Yeah. Red opting, of course, to get this 3rd base. I mean, I think it would be in this position when you're starting out, it would be a little bit silly to get this expansion over here just because a lot of, I would say, Warp Prism play is good, and connecting the creep is a lot farther. That's the main thing that I should probably say. So Red choosing the more natural 3rd base. From here, it's just absolute standard play. We're going to keep an eye on this Forge, and, et cetera, et cetera. Normally, though, let's talk about this. 2-base play is like the #1 thing that you see on Dual Site. You can't, I shouldn't say you can't, but 95% of all PVZs, we see just 2-base, high aggression, and taking a delayed 3rd base, and always keeping a lot of pressure on your opponent. And if at any time Protoss feels that you're not capable of stopping them, boom, they're going to flick the switch and just go all-out attack mode.
When Rhett played Alicia back in Season 3 on this map, I mean, Rhett chose it, and then Alicia just pretty much walked over to the left side of Rhett's 3rd and just used force fields. It wasn't even anything fancy. No bling. I think +1 was thrown in there. He had some zealots, but it was just a raw power unit aggression on that 3rd base, and Rhett just kept losing more and more units. But Alicia's been falling away from that and dropping tech play instead. And look at, he's doing it again. He's not getting +1, and he's going for Stargate, really staying resilient on this Void Ray play.
I mean, the Void Ray play does work out a lot in here, and I would actually say like that style where you get Void Rays and Robotic Facility tech, more importantly the Warp Prism play, that's really good on this map as well, because Void Rays can easily just dish out damage at the 3rd base, force a lot of units over here, and then you come into with Warp Prism and just easily just section off a lot of stuff. And when you get Warp Prisms, you do maintain map control. That's the most important thing. Normally how to beat Warp Prism play is actually you just get a lot of map control and you see it coming, that way you can prepare. This, I think if he does that series of events, he will be in a great position to actually do a lot of damage to Rhett.
You can see this time Rhett is playing a lot safer. He's getting his Roach Warren significantly earlier. Last time we were seeing him dropping it later and later, 8.5 minutes, maybe 8 minutes. Now he's scaling it back to a normal time around 7 minutes. And you can see that Red's just going to play a little bit more traditional in the sense, but at the same time, he doesn't scout this Stargate. And, I mean, there's no real raw indications. He moves in, sees the forge still working. There's still no real tells that this is what Alicia's going to do.
Oh, first Void Ray is going to pop out here right next to the Overlord. That'll give Red all indication that this is, of course, Void Ray pressure. For now, how does Red react to this? Let's go ahead and watch. Metabolic Boost is started. Lair is almost finished. This is all very, very standard play. Where's that Evolution Chamber, though?
The Evil Chamber is non-existent. My goodness. Red doesn't have it at all. He just has a layer in production, so he has to fend this off with pure queens unless he wants to tech something else. He is dropping the Evo Chamber, but again, it's pretty delayed, and he's going to have to deal with the fact that Alicia has 6 more gates in production, and he's going to follow with a huge 2-base aggression, just like you were saying, Andre.
Yes, and you know, there is no more Phoenixes or Void Rays coming out of this one Stargate, so what he's trying to do is get Rhett to just react terribly, and if he can do that, then all of a sudden there's a huge timing window where Rhett doesn't have the capabilities of making enough units against this incoming 6-gate pressure, and he's just going to topple over Rhett. Thankfully for Rhett, I think he's making units right now, 13 Zerglings, and yes, he's starting to make a lot of roaches.
This isn't pressure, Andre. He walled off the remainder of his base. Alicia is committed, and he's going to try to do this as best as he can and really end it quick. He's got a pylon making on the high ground as well. He's going to really take this brush area with the ramp and make sure to protect it and warp in non-stop. And will Red be prepared? He's making a few more spores as well. He's making roaches, but he's not necessarily in the right position to shut this off.
Red is going the wrong way. You can see all the units grouped up on the left-hand side. Meanwhile, Red is taking the long way around on the right-hand side. These drones need to be evacuated immediately. There are 2 queens over here as well. Red is just staying here.
And Red's going to immediately try to run with his drones. The queens get trapped as well. Very key in terms of holding off that Void Ray and being able to at least pressure off the initial units of the gateways. And with that, that third of Red is in jeopardy. You can see that Red's still massing up units, but that's a huge amount of production to lose that quick.
He can still sort of salvage this if he's able to eliminate all of his opponent's units efficiently, but that's going to be, even that is really, really tough. He does have the advantage of coming in from 2 sides, but there are a lot of sentries, Frodan. This is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, he's got a lot of force shields. Alicia tries to trap some of the units, but Red, here comes the flank. We're about to find out what that's about to do.
Beautiful.
Great force shields from Alicia. Shut down the rear. Now he just has to deal with the front for now, but again, we see that the Void Ray staying alive is going to add a lot of DPS and pressure onto those roaches, make Red really commit whether or not, but Red trying to see if he can pick off any reinforcements, and whether or not he actually picks them off, he's going to lose a lot of supply in these roaches.
Well, he's doing a great job of just shooting and scooting, and as you can see, the roaches actually live from this. Very nicely done, but the fact of the matter is there's such a large amount of sentries here, and these roaches are just stranded. And Red again is going to try to do this clamp down on the units, but I don't know how he's going to be able to do that. I mean, it's so difficult for him at this point.
And you can see Red does snipe the pylon, a huge snipe indeed, but I mean, Alicia's still got a huge force that Red has to deal with. And I mean, the supply counts aren't too different. The army supply is pretty much almost equal, 73 to 79, and Red is moving to the southern parts of the map. Alicia doesn't have as many forces as he'd like, but he still has plenty if he really wants to cut off these roaches, so Red has to be very careful. And he's been only on 2 hatch production this entire time.
He has been getting +2 on the way at this point. Robotics Facility and Twilight Council is on the way as well. So both these players not really committed to any further tech for too long. Burrow is on the way, though. That'll help out quite a bit. But if it was there a little bit earlier, obviously the Burrow would have helped, seeing as the Protoss has no observers. The fact of the matter is, you need to deal with these mass sentries somehow. And how are you going to do that? It's very difficult to with just mass roaches. And just with quality units, I'm going to give the advantage to Alicia. I mean, no matter where he goes, as long as it's not in the middle of the map, if he engages, he will have the advantage. He's going to be able to shape the terrain to however he wants and segment enough roaches to just kill them outright and always take the army lead.
Now that Alicia has forced Red to make an incredible amount of units, especially with the amount of roaches he has. Red has 40 roaches. He's going to transition to just what he can really hard counter those roaches as best he can. Blink, +2 immortals as well. And now Alicia's slowly taking ground, trying to establish that third base. Red moving in towards that natural avenue, but he has to be very dangerous. If he gets caught once, he could lose a huge amount of his supply.
He can pick off that +2. No, he can't. The sentries are just way too close to that force. And I like where the Void Ray is doing. It's just keeping an eye on everything, basically. All the paths that his units are not. And that obviously helps him out with positioning. Roaches are just going to retreat completely, but really what Rhett wants at this point is like drop banelings or you know, infestors out in the field. He needs some way to deal with those sentries.
He's just staying on Roach Ling, and he's pretty much just in full unit production, not really droning at this point. And now he sees that the army of his opponent is a little bit out of position, but at the same time, again, there's a lot of sentry energy buildup, and the
getting
Blink is
+2.
finished. He's trying to get +2.
Nice.
And he does snipe it, a really nice snipe for Liquid.
It helps out a little bit. Definitely helps out. The +2 is pretty important for Protoss. And seeing as Red is just about to finish his +2 missile attacks, he will have the upgrade advantage. We're going to have to see a very nice surround here.
Oh, huge
no,
chunk of
Red.
roaches do get surrounded and immediately blinking back some of the stalks that took damage. Red trying to go for a surround, but not a great position. Fighting upper ramp is not what you want to do. And Red immediately has to force to retreat, and he's just still making roaches. He doesn't have that strong transition. Just like you said, Andre, he needs something more, but he can't really afford to make anything else at this point.
Yeah, he needs higher tech, and he's just not at that capacity after losing the third. It's unfortunate because his Roaches and Zerglings were going around just to do the counterattack, expecting the Phoenixes to come in. But of course they didn't, and he got surprised out of position against those Stalkers and Sentries. And with this third being situated over here, it'll eventually be mined up. Alicia's looking to take an even further advantage here.
Well, Alicia's going to just move into the third here. Forced with a bunch of roaches, forcing the confrontation. Red trying to go for a flank. Another section off, making sure that they can't get surrounded. Red trying to go for a third flank, but Alicia blocks it off as well. And 3 fronts and protection on all grounds. Alicia is able to section off the units very nicely, protecting that huge ball. And a blink to protect the Immortals as well. Alicia completely destroying the Zerg army. Red supply is now down to just 110, while his remains really high. GG gets called out. Alicia takes game number 3, putting within reaching distance the NASL Grand Finals. Man, 3 in a row.
Match point for him, man. I mean, you were saying before, if he loses 3-0, or yeah, if he's down 3-0, how hard is it to come back 4-0? Well, he's already shown that he has the capacity to do that. 3-0, that is really, really, I guess, tough for Rhett's psyche. Right, going into it, being on top of it, and just getting shut down directly after that.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is just, again, you was forced into making non-stop units because that threat of pressure and Alicia roaming the map, and as a result, Red never really moved from low tech, and when you have that many Stalkers, that many Immortals, that many Sentries, it's just really systematic from there.
It all came down to losing that third base. It's such an unfortunate turn of events because I can understand where Red was going. You've seen Void Ray Phoenixes this whole time. You prepare for that. You go for the counterattack while everything is over there. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of damage, but I'll be fine eventually. My Roaches and Zerglings are just going to tear you apart. That didn't happen. And it's just a build order counter, or a build order loss. But it's like you couldn't have known.
All right, well, Rhett does drop game number 5, but he still has a couple more chances to get back and earn his spot to fight against Stefano. We'll find out what happens in game number 6 of the NASL Season 3 Grand Finals. We'll be back in just a minute. Don't go anywhere.